Alright, so in this video I'm going to walk you through outliers and unusual values. First thing, file, make a copy, change it so that we get rid of copy of, and tack on your last name at the end, make a copy. We're all set there. I put at the bottom here a few things that we'll need to find in order to determine the outliers and the unusual values. The first thing we're going to do is the 5-number summary. All right, so our data points go from B3 to B32. So equals min B3. It actually assumed what I wanted, which is nice. Click that. You can do a little formatting if you want. You can leave it as is. Either way, these are offset to the left. So if that's fine, if that's fine with you, it's fine with me. All right. First quartile equals. Start typing quartile exc. Again, the data B3 to B32. This time it didn't assume. It's the first quartile. So type in a comma 1. All right. Suggestions, let's get rid of that. I can copy this into Q3 and replace the 1 with a 3. A little shortcut there, save you some typing. The median equals median. Their suggestion isn't good, so I'm just going to type it. B3 to B32. Then the maximum equals max. Suggestion is no good, so B3 to B32. All right. Now the interquartile range is the difference between Q3 and Q1. So equals Q3 minus Q1. All right. So we select those row column references, cell references really, and then hit enter. The non-outlier interval, you can look in your note packet, you can look online, but the way we find the bounds for a non-outlier interval is to take the lower quartile, or Q1, and subtract from it 1.5 times whatever your IQR is. All right, so as I go here, I'm going to copy that, so I'll lock it in, get rid of the suggestion. I'm going to copy it into the high bound, but instead of Q1, I now want Q3. So this one is Q3, that's in B39, plus 1.5 times the IQR. All right. So any number from that list above that's in this interval would not be an outlier. All right. So what I want to do is count up the values that actually are outliers and then make that determination of what those numbers are. Right, so first off is, like, if I find the number of outliers and it turns out it's 0, then I wouldn't even look at the list. That means that there are no outliers. But if it says that there are 3, I know that on the high side of the list or the low side of the list, in this case the high side of the list, I would be looking for 3 values. Most likely the largest 3 values. All right, so knowing how many you're looking for is really the key to everything here. All right. And you could visually go through and say, okay, well, I'm not going to have anything that's negative, right? Because these are area in square miles data points. So it wouldn't make sense to have a negative. So I could look for anything that's more than this number here. That would be fine too, all right? So, but instead of doing that, I'm going to use my count if. So count if. Now, the conditions for a count if, and I'll put it this way: if you ever struggle and you don't remember what a rule is or what a function will do, it's kind of I would say, we'll call it extra work. But if you go into Excel, so open Excel, a lot of the functionality is the same. So you can go into Excel help, or you can start typing into a cell. Just pick a cell, equals whatever the command function is, and it'll tell you what ingredients you need to have. All right, so the range and the criteria. All right, So in this case, let me go back to sheets here. The range is the area in square miles, so that part should be easy enough. The criteria, we want it to be less than, so the less than has to be in quotes. Whatever I have in my low bound, so it's kind of hidden here, so it's a little tricky. Let me just escape and do it again. So it's in B45. So equals count if, again, highlight the range. I'll just type in B3 to B32. So I want it to be less than, in quotes. I'm going to use an ampersand, so shift 7 to bring up the and symbol. Anything less than whatever this number is, right? So that's one part of it. And the other part is really the same idea, count if, same interval. I don't want to close parentheses, sorry about that. Comma, this time greater than whatever is in your high bound cell, right? So it's going to count up all the numbers. This part here will count up all the numbers that are less than what's in B45. Sorry, I accidentally put an equal sign there. That should be a plus. And then it'll give everything that's greater than what's in B46, right? So if I hit enter now, it'll tell me that there are 4 outliers. And then there is a command line that we could use to find those particular 4 values, but you could also, if you want, just sort the data set, right? So what you can do here is just pull the body of the data set and just kind of copy it over here. That's assuming that you wanted to preserve the original ordering. If you do that, then what you can do is data, sort range by column. You see, that's the thing. I select the function and then it blocks what I'm looking for, or we're looking at. So D, I want to sort by D. So data, sort range by column D, A to Z. You could have them in alphabetical order. You can do sort range, advanced sort range, and you could sort by a different column, all right? So sort, and it'll give it to you in numerical order, all right? So we know there aren't any outliers on the low end because the low bound is negative. So if there was an outlier on the low end, it would have to be more negative than this number here. So we're looking at outliers on the high end, and there are 4 of them, so the last 4 must be the outliers. So I'll just copy that, put them down here. If I want to resort, I can do that. Data, sort range by column A, that works. And it'll put it in alphabetical order if that's what you want, or you could just leave it in the original order. It's up to you. If I didn't care about the ordering, in terms of like the names, the way they were presented initially, I could have just sorted the original column, 2 columns of data, right? So same idea, I would sort, range, advanced, and just do it by column B, and it would do it that way. So either way, I like having the original distribution and the sorted one as 2 separate. So what I'll do is I'll bring these column headings over, and I'll just call this sorted. All right. And actually, let me put that over here because that's actually what was sorted. All right. So that's all you would need in order to figure out the outliers. So the idea is that we make spreadsheets that are, I'll call it portable, so that you could then use your own data, replace the data that's in here, and it would automatically compute the low and high bounds. And you'd still have to visually investigate, but that could get you going in the right direction. The assignment is to find unusual values. This is actually a little bit easier because I need the sample mean, so equals average. All right. I3 to I32. I need the sample standard deviation. So I3 to I32. The low bound and high bound, for unusual values, it's the mean. So equals the mean minus 2 times the standard deviation. Copy that as I go. The high bound, same idea, except now it's plus 2 times the standard deviation. We're still looking for the count of unusual values. Well, counts. Previously it was the count of outliers. Now it's the count of unusual values, or number of unusual values. So I'm going to take this command line here, bring it over, and just change my references because it's still essentially the same idea. So instead of the B's, it's I's. Instead of referencing on the low end B45, it's now I40. So change my references here. I3 to I32. And we're looking at I41. All right, it highlights the appropriate stuff, so I know I'm in the right neck of the woods, so hit enter. I'm looking for 3 unusual values. So I'll do the same sorting technique that I did before. And you know, I neglected to mention this. Let me quote unquote accidentally copy the column headings there. All right, so I'm gonna paste it over here. I'm gonna do my data sort range advanced. See, it says data has a header row. If I select that, it will ignore whatever's typed in that first entry in each column. All right, I want to sort by, now you see it gives me labels instead of columns, so I'm sorting by area. And we have this. Again, we have a negative low bound, so we ignore that. If I'm looking for 3 values, it must be these 3 values. And we have our unusual values. So then share, change to anyone with the link, editor, copy link, all right? So you do that once you've completed the assignment, all right? So that was the example. Move on to the assignment tab. So another set of countries. Basically, you're replicating the process that we just used. Use that share link, all right? If you set it to editor, then all you have to do is go in and copy link. That goes into Schoology, and you'll be done with this assignment.